Yeah, I think that me and you have a very like modern mindset when it comes to jujitsu, and not just the way it should be taught, but just the culture too. Because like old school jujitsu, it's not just the techniques themselves; it's the whole mentality and it's the whole yeah, just like the culture of it. And I don't want to talk shit about like old culture and whatnot, but there are a lot of bad things, in my opinion, that stem from that. So like, I really like the modern approach. I think more and more people are gearing towards that. So yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah.
Well, for the people who have no idea what old school jujitsu is like, how would you sum it up? How would the both of you sum it up if you had to? If somebody just joined jujitsu at a modern jujitsu gym 2 years ago, how would you explain old school jujitsu to them in a nutshell?
Yeah, so I'll give like one example. We had a guy come this week. He's visiting for 2 weeks and he just loves our gym. He said like he's never been to a gym like ours because we roll hard but we're still nice, and we don't like we don't have the egos and all that kind of stuff. And that's the way it should be. Like I like rolling hard, and not like excessively, but I like rolling hard, and like but at the same time we're not out to hurt each other. And some gyms are kind of just like that, but like I don't really mean that necessarily for old school, but he made a great point. Like he was talking about other gyms, and he's saying that he got yelled at a gym before because he didn't tie his belt facing the wall. And I think that's just like, and I made a YouTube video on that. I commented on it about that, and some people were shocked. Or like, I've never heard about that because they belong to more modern of gyms. But I would sum up like in a few words, an old school gym being very like controlling, like you owe them something because they're teaching you. And you could argue that was the case before because there was such a student coach dynamic before that was like you can't learn jiu-jitsu elsewhere, but like now they're online and everything that's available to grapplers now. I don't think we have that same importance of lineage and stuff like that. It's just my own opinion, but yeah, I feel like old school jiu-jitsu, they have a lot of rules, and they try to kind of own you and not let you do what you want to do. And then stuff like yeah, not rolling much and stuff like that. Just yeah, what's your experience been with like old school jiu-jitsu, Joey?
I think like you kind of nailed it. Like to me, when I think of it, I think of it's a lot like you're going to do what the guy in charge says to do when he says to do it. You're not going to deviate from what he says. You're just going to blindly listen and repeat after him. And he's just going to show you exactly what he was shown, the same way he was shown it. And you're going to do the same format that they've been doing for the last 30, 40 years. No innovation, because that's how he was shown. And that's what you have to do, because that's, if your professor learned this way, well, you have to learn this way. And I think that's just a really archaic way to do things. I mean, I think part of the reason you and I adapt so many of these modern approaches is because we tend to be pretty open-minded people. And just because something worked for 20, 30, 40 years doesn't mean it can't be better. And I know like me, and I'm pretty sure you, because, we've had a lot of conversations about this. We're both willing if someone says like, hey, I think this is a better way to do things. Like, all right, let's try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, we won't do it. If it does, we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And this kind of brings me to like almost like a different topic, but it's still very similar. Because I was talking to one of my friends, Travis from Elbows Tight. We are talking about, concepts versus techniques. And I also put that video out on the passing video. I put like concepts beat techniques, and there's truth to that. But at the same time, I think there's not. I think it's a little misleading just because I think what techniques are just grip sequences, and they're like the how to do something, and then the fun, like the concepts are the why you do something, right? So I think that a lot of old school people or poor instructors, they kind of just do things the way they've been told. And yeah, like the way they've been told to do it, that might be a way of doing it, but like there's different ways of gripping and different ways of doing things. But when it comes to the concepts, they're more so universal truths. But people act sometimes like techniques are universal truths, so you have to grab here or there, but not necessarily. There's a lot of places you can grab and grip as long as you're conceptually doing things right. So I think that's the difference between concepts and techniques. And there's a time and place for both, because people need to understand the why to do things, but they also need to be shown how to. But at the same time, they shouldn't be like told the tunnel vision, like this is how you do it and there's no other way. It's like there are other ways, but conceptually this is why and how. So you can form your own kind of, places to grip and stuff like that, almost like your own techniques, as long as you're conceptually sound. So that's something I found really interesting. And I don't think that many people teach concepts out there. Like, when they teach, they don't really teach the why, or it's more specific to like a technique approach always. So yeah, I'm really trying to give concepts out there to people. But yeah, I agree. I think that old school people, they're kind of more set in their ways, which makes sense, just like, just in general, like just I think with any sport or any activity, like the old school people, like they're set in their ways. They do it the way they do it. And then, with the internet is becoming, well, not becoming popular. It is so popular, but with the internet, it's really showing people that there's different ways of doing things. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And you didn't really have a, excuse me, you didn't have a choice back then. There wasn't like 3 jiu-jitsu schools in every city, correct?
Yeah. So for example, like the first gym I went to, it was the only gym in Trenton, but now we're the only gym in Trenton. So I guess it's kind of similar, but like, for example, I remember being told, and I've told this on the podcast before, I remember being told that the body triangle from the back is wrong. You shouldn't do it. It's wrong. And, that was like the old school mentality because, hooks are better. That's Brazilian jiu-jitsu. The modern thing is body triangles, but like, body triangles are great. They're really good. They're, it's extremely hard to get out of it. So, that's just a great example of that mentality. And for sure, there's so many jiu-jitsu schools popping up here and there that like, it's great because if someone's going to switch gyms, it's okay. It's fine. Like it doesn't need to be like an ego problem for the person that the gym is leaving. It can be because like, if someone leaves my gym, my thoughts are, why did they leave? Is my product not good enough? Is it better, or is the product better somewhere else? Right. And first of all, this hasn't really happened. So I'm thankful for that. But like, that would be my mentality for sure. But also, people, they vibe at different gyms. People want different things. Some people like the old school stuff. Some people like being told what to do. And, almost like, this sounds weird, but I swear some people like that mentality, almost like being controlled. It's kind of strange. Like, but that's what I found over the years. Some people just like that old school stuff, and that's fine with me. It's whatever. I like the more new school approach. So I like that there's different options, and I think there is a place for both of them. If you want that traditional, like, you get yelled at if you do something wrong, that's okay. That's fine.